Morning. I'd like to call to order the Public Improvement Commission hearing of October 4th, 2018. Our first item is to note that the minutes from the previous Public Improvement Commission hearing of September 20th were reviewed and approved by the PIC staff. Our first item of business is a utility pole hearing on a joint petition by Eversource Energy and Verizon New England to relocate one utility pole on Saybrook Street, Brighton, to be located on its northeasterly side at address number 4, generally southeast of Market Street. How are you? Please. Please introduce yourself and explain to us the project.
I'd like permission to relocate pole number 2 on Saybrook Street.
Could you put that thing up and thank you so much.
That's right, that doesn't work.
We're asking to relocate pole 2 on Saybrook 9 feet towards Market Street to accommodate a new driveway for new construction.
Amy, the new location has been agreed by the immediate abutter and all of that.
Yep, they own both adjacent lots and it's the existing driveway's moving, so.
Other questions or comments on this? Amy or Tom?
We're good.
Members of the public? All right, I'll entertain a motion on this.
I'll make a motion to approve a joint petition by Eversource Energy and Verizon New England to relocate one utility pole on Saybrook Street, as read into the record by the chair.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Moving on to the public hearing, our first item is on a petition by Seaport L4 Title Holder LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to East Service Road in South Boston, located on its northwesterly side at address number 50, southwest of Autumn Lane. This was new business on September 20th, 2018, and this is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Pedestrian Easement Plan, East Service Road, Public Way, Boston, one sheet dated September 14th, 2018. Warren.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. Peter Kohansky here from Goulston and Storrs. I'm here on behalf of Seaport Block L4 Title Holder LLC, which is the owner of Block L4 of the Seaport Square project, and Seaport Square Development Company, which is the master developer of the Seaport Square project. I'm joined by Yanni Sippis of WS Development, John Schmidt from Niche Engineering, Heather Scranton from Haley & Aldrich, and Guy Busa from Howard Stein Hudson is here as well. So by now, you're familiar with the Seaport Square project. We've been in front of you a number of times, both for master details on some of the streetscape improvements and for individual blocks as they've gone forward. This application is for 3 actions for Block L4, which is located on East Service Road, just south of Block L2, which is the 121 Seaport building, which is nearing construction completion. This Block L4 is a really exciting project for the city. It's a 17-story office building. The office component will be leased by Amazon for its Boston expansion. The building's approximately 525,000 square feet. It has retail and restaurant uses on the first 2 floors, and the Amazon office component is above. The project is also delivering public realm improvements and really improving the streetscape, the open space and the pedestrian connections in that area. It will be delivering the Harbor Square Park open space in the middle of the L block, which is going to be a really terrific improvement for this neighborhood. So the first of the 3 actions is for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement in East Service Road, or to extend the sidewalk along East Service Road by a little bit less than a foot over its length. In the easement instrument, the developer is going to retain rights, as is customary, above and below the surface. John can explain anything about the plan, or we can answer questions on the easement.
John, quickly, the 8-inch easement was needed to satisfy what primary purpose?
The easement will allow an 8-foot concrete sidewalk,
So
5 feet, which is pedestrian.
And you want to retain rights above and below. Is there sort of a vertical, like, at what point do those rights exist?
We certainly, I mean, I think the general principle is, below the, below the surface of the street, there will be the slurry wall. The garage may extend actually into that 8-inch easement area, and that's important to the design.
John, you want to quickly walk us through just the actual proposal, and then we'll...
Sure, so here's East Service Road, Autumn Lane, which is a private way. L4 here is indicated on this drawing here. From the intersection, from 16 feet south of Autumn Lane, we have a pedestrian easement that's about 273 feet in length that brings us to the end of the L4 parcel. The easement width itself varies between 0.54 feet to 0.69 feet, so it's very, very wide at all. But it does allow a 5-foot wide unimpeded pedestrian access.
Questions or comments on the pedestrian easement? Amy or Todd? Members of the public? All right, I'll entertain a motion on the pedestrian easement.
Make a motion to approve a petition by Seaport L4 Title Holder LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to East Service Road, is read into the record by the chair and is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Pedestrian Easement Plan, East Service Road, Public Way, Boston, one sheet dated September 14th, 2018.
All in favor? Aye. So moved. Moving on to our next item, on a set of joint petitions by Seaport L4 Title Holder LLC and Seaport Square Development Company LLC for the making of specific repairs within the following streets in South Boston, consisting of curb realignment, sidewalk and pedestrian ramp reconstruction, as well as new and relocated specialty pavement, street trees, street lighting infrastructure, pavement markings, bike racks, bollards, street furniture, planters, landscaping, irrigation infrastructure, driveway curb cuts, and a raised crosswalk. Locations are East Service Road on its northwesterly side at address number 50, southwest of Autumn Lane, and Autumn Lane on its southwesterly side, northwest of East Service Road. This was new business on September 20th, 2018. And this is as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repairs Plan, East Service Road, Autumn Lane, 3 sheets dated September 14th, 2018.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Peter Kohansky from Goulston and Stores for Seaport Block L4 Title Holder LLC and Seaport Square Development Company on this joint petition for specific repairs. John will walk you through the plans in a minute. We are asking for specific repairs within East Service Road, and then we are changing certain aspects of the design for the layout of Autumn Lane. Those are being styled as specific repairs for this action. And John, you want to...
So at new business, the question was raised, how's the overall geometry for this block work? So here's a plan demonstrating that. This is M block here. This curb alignment was approved about a year and a half, 2 years ago. It is in construction now. 121 Seaport, it's just completing work now. And then this is our parcel here. We are maintaining the previously approved lane list, which is two lanes in here, and then 3 lanes in this block as you get up to the intersection. It's one-way traffic. And then we have a bump out here on M block, and then we have a bump out here that mirrors that. So we maintain 2 lanes of traffic through here. At this point, wide is the 3-foot frame.
John, within that 2 lanes of traffic on East Service Road, is the Transportation Department looking towards installing or activating bicycle lanes within that 26-foot roadway?
It's a private way, so it would be...
No, not East Service Road. That's all others. Keeping in mind, John, that the main entrance is from an interstate off-ramp. Okay?
My understanding is that there is no bicycle paths proposed there.
Because this will exclude our ability to program a bicycle lane on that very nodal roadway.
Now, bicycle lanes have been installed.
No, I know. I'm just going north-south circulation.
So the policy and planning division, Pat Hoey is the point of contact. You had a discussion relative to that with them?
Good morning. Yanni Sippis with WS Development. The short answer, Mr. Hesford, is yes. We did evaluate as part of our Article 80 review, which of course BTD participated very actively in, where the most appropriate locations district-wide for bicycle infrastructure would be. Boston Wharf Road, which is of course at the adjacent north-south street, will have 2-way protected cycle infrastructure. However, it was determined by BTD Planning that East Service Road, because it's essentially an interstate highway ramp, was not an appropriate location. So, thank you.
And again, John, for the record, you have 26 feet clear between your bump outs, correct?
Yes, we have
so it should be
between them.
Which should be adequate, even though Yanni, you are helping with the snow situation. Even if that situation should become a little bit awkward, I think you have enough space. Do you concur with that thought pattern?
We have adequate space between the bump outs.
One of the previous comments that we touched upon was the pedestrian corridor connection coming mid-block.
On Austin.
No, Autumn.
No?
I apologize.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so within the plaza area here, there is a pass-through, pedestrian pass-through this building which brings you here. But there is also a loading dock on the opposite side, so it's not, doesn't encourage people to pass.
Is there a parking lane in front of that?
There is a parking lane in front of that as well.
Obviously ideal, we want these pedestrian connections to be going to crosswalks, to other things, you know. That's the intent of the designs that we strive to do.
Reflecting Commissioner Hesford's thought patterns, you are of the opinion simply because there's a loading dock on the opposite side that will be like a visual.
Between the parking lane and the loading dock, there's not a lot to
Decide.
encourage someone to cross over, in addition to the heavy traffic that is very obvious. So people will be directed to here where the bumps out, where the bump outs are located, the path of travel is much shorter, it's safer for pedestrians.
Is there any special treatment that you're doing on the property, redirecting pedestrians as they approach that?
We have a concrete sidewalk and then we have a furnishing lane which includes pervious pavers and street furniture.
But I'm talking about on the property.
On the property
How's that
itself.
treatment going to be as it approaches the public sidewalk?
So actually they'll be coming out the building to the sidewalk. I don't know if there's
It's
a
just
discussion about.
like a visual cue or something like that, that sort of guides people towards one of the two
Yeah, I
crosswalks.
mean, we can provide adequate signage to encourage folks to go in the right
Surface
direction.
treatments, John, your architects are brilliant at this stuff. You've done such a fantastic job elsewhere, so that there are subtle visual cues on the surface treatment within your area that can sort of, it's like a shape like this, okay, a surface shape that sort of guides people to the two sides. Okay?
In addition to signage, the surface treatment of the interior pedestrian connection is polished concrete. So essentially it'll feel from a materiality perspective like you're going from a sidewalk into a sidewalk.
Yes.
So there's continuity there.
In regards to the improvements within the sidewalk there, we are proposing your 5-foot wide pervious paver zone with street furniture, street trees, street lights. We have some benches, we have some trash cans. And then we have again, it's a pervious sidewalk that allows groundwater infiltration. And then we have a minimum 8-foot wide concrete sidewalk for safe and accessible access.
And the stuff you're showing on Autumn Blade, we recognize it's a private way.
Yes, and we can speak to that as well. Autumn Lane is a private way that we approved as a board several years ago. And the intent of bringing it back to you is to document that we are having a great pedestrian crosswalk here. As people come through, as pedestrians come through the parcel, through this parkland, they will have the raised sidewalk here, and then they'll go through here, out, and then towards the ocean. So it just provides a better, safer, accessible access. It's also on the high point of the road, so visibility is really good.
There are ballers at the crossing, at the raised crosswalk.
Yes, we have a string of bollards on Autumn Lane that will warn people that we are entering the traffic zone.
In the spacing between the bollards, or has that been reviewed by the?
I think they're probably 5 feet on center. That allows, mitigates traffic, but allows pedestrians to cross safely.
Wheelchairs to go through.
That's. Other questions or comments on the specific repair plan? Thank you, John. Members of the public? I'll entertain a motion on the specific repair plan.
I make a motion to approve on a set of joint petitions by Seaport L4, title holder LLC, and Seaport Square Development, Company LLC for making specific repairs in the following streets in South Boston, consisting of curb realignment, sidewalk, pedestrian ramp reconstruction, as well as building relocated specially pavement, street trees, street lighting, infrastructure, pavement marking, bike racks, bollards, street furniture, planters, landscaping, irrigation, infrastructure, driveway curb cuts, and raised crosswalks. All of ready for the record by the chair, and shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division Specific Repairs Plan, East Service Road, Autumn Lane, 3 sheets dated September 14th, 2018.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Our third item is on a petition by Seaport L4 Title Holder LLC for the granting of an earth retention license for the installation of a temporary earth support system within East Service Road in South Boston, located on its northwesterly side at address number 50 between Autumn Lane and Congress Street. This was new business on September 20th, 2018, and this is as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Temporary Earth Retention Plan, East Service Road, South Boston, one sheet, dated September 14th, 2018.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Peter Kohansky again for Seaport L4 Title Holder LLC. This is the third and last of the petitions for the Block L4 project. It is asking for approval for the installation of an earth retention system. John can walk you through it, but it's important to know we're building both the system that will retain the wall for L4 and asking to install it further south so that it's in place for the future construction of Block L6. John?
So, as Peter said, it's a story wall construction where the base of it is just at the property line. Then runs the full extent from Autumn Lane down to Congress Street for both L4 and L6. There are tiebacks to support the wall for construction purposes that will be detentioned at the project completion. Those tiebacks are well below the utility, starting approximately 15 feet below grade. The thing that makes this a little bit unusual is we have a secondary earth support system of soldier pile and lagging that's about 6 feet off the story wall, and that is to support an existing AT&T duct bank that runs along the property line. When work is completed and stabilized, this soldier pile and lagging will be removed to be 6 feet below the sidewalk. Presently, it's all within the sidewalk, so we don't anticipate having to go into the travel lane.
And I believe you say this is new business, but AT&T is supportive of this approach? Yes.
Yes.
Questions or comments on the earth retention license? Amy or Todd? Members of the public? All right, we'll entertain a motion on the earth retention license.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Seaport L4 Title Holder LLC for the granting of an earth retention license as read into the record by the chair and is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Temporary Earth Retention Plan, East Service Road, South Boston, one sheet dated September 14th, 2018. Aye.
So moved. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Our next item is on a joint petition by CAD Builders LLC and SM LaRusso and Sons for the layout approval of a new private way open to public travel in West Roxbury, known as Starling Street, from Willett Street, located approximately 260 feet southeast of Thrush Street, to a point approximately 570 feet southwesterly. This was new business on September 20th, 2018. And this is as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Layout Approval Plan, Starling Street, Private Way, open to public travel, West Roxbury, 3 sheets dated September 11th, 2018. Morning, Chris.
Thank you. Good morning, Chief Osgood, members of the Commission. Chris Tracy from O'Neill & Associates in Boston, here on behalf of the development team, respectfully seeking the Commission's approval contingent on final review with staff.
Oh,
And I'll acknowledge the names in a moment. So Buzzard Street will become Starling Street, Loon Road will become Toucan Road, and after consulting PIC staff, we have agreed that we will do a 44-foot right-of-way with 2 grass strips of 2 feet on each side of the current layout. This is for the streetlights to go in, hydrants as well. We will achieve ADA compliance with this, having 5 feet clear path of travel on sidewalks. We will achieve the 28 feet that Boston Fire has required for a truck turning radius by restricting parking on one side. So again, we will work with your staff and street lighting on ironing out where exactly the street light locations will go, but it is our full intention, as we've always said, to light the street and be ADA compliant.
Mr. Tracy, my compliments to you and to your efforts to work with our amazing PIC staff to bring this thing to a point where I think it benefits the city's needs on behalf of the private citizens that are living on this private way as much as it meets the needs of your client.
Thank you.
So
and your
my
staff.
thanks to you.
Thank you and your staff.
Other questions or comments about this?
We did document last week that there was plenty of community meetings and processing this. I appreciate that. As construction moves forward, it'll be very important that it keep that communication in place?
Absolutely.
Amy or Tom?
Just as long as it's contingent on the
Street lighting.
With the 44-foot right away, we're all set.
Amy, there will be still a process where once the private way gets built, just for my edification purposes, how does the city, what we don't do?
Not by one.
So that's a concern, Chris, okay? Because it is a private way, there's no process for it to be inspected, all right? So it is important for your client's contractor to do what needs to be done, because inspection services department does go and inspect the buildings that gets built, but this is it when it comes to the roadway part. So if I'm buying a house over there, I may feel lulled into thinking everything is fine, even though none of the assets are going to be inspected by the city.
Yeah.
That includes the lighting system, which I have a more of a concern. The drainage system, water and sewer does approve it because it is connected to their system. Okay, so we ask you to do what needs to be done for the betterment of those who we serve.
I can say on behalf of the team, our reputation is important to us. We plan on keep doing work in this part of the city and throughout the city, so it's obvious. We know that a lot of eyes are on this, and we take that very seriously.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Members of the public? All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item, again, contingent upon the updating of the plans to reflect the 40-foot right-of-way, the furnishing zone for streetlights, all the things which were listed by the proponent.
I make a motion on a joint petition by CAD Builders LLC and S&M LaRusso and Sons layout approval, a new private way open to public travel on West Rockbury known as Starling Street, Willett Street, located approximately 260 feet southeast of Thrush Street to a point approximately 570 feet southwesterly, all shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Layout Approval Plan, Starling Street private way open to public travel, West Roxbury, 3 sheets dated September 11, 2018, with the contingency to continue working with PIC and staff on the layout issues.
Second.
Aye.
Moved. Our next item is on a joint petition by CAD Builders LLC and SM LaRusso and Sons for the layout approval of a new private way open to public travel in West Roxbury known as Toucan Road from the terminus of Starling Street to a point approximately 120 feet northwesterly, as well as to a point approximately 120 feet southeasterly. This was new business on September 20th, 2018. And this is as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Layout Approval Plan, Toucan Road, Private Way, Open to Public Travel, West Roxbury, 1 sheet dated September 11th, 2018.
So this is the Toucan Road is the hammerhead section of the subdivision, and the same intention, same dimensions on this portion of the project as well, right?
And fire and all emergency response.
Yeah, so we're also going to restrict parking on one side of Toucan at the request of BFD.
Recognizing that that restriction cannot be enforced by the city. It's a private way.
I can't.
This is a side note. Where do these names come from? I know they're all birds. Who picked these? Toucan Road?
I'm just kidding.
A lot
Thank you,
of
Chris.
you'd be shocked how many bird names are taken across
A
the
lot of
city.
exotic birds here.
Yeah, we had to search far and wide to find some names.
Didn't know they were indigenous to West Roxbury.
We didn't know a lot of these. A lot of the streets up there, Plover, Curlew, we didn't know those were birds as well. Learn something new every day.
Lots of birds.
Yeah.
We don't have Roosevelt, right?
Other questions or comments on this? Amy or Todd? Members of the public? All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item on Toucan Road.
Make a motion to approve a joint petition by CAD Builders LLC and SM LaRusso and Sons Incorporated for the layout approval of a new private way open to public travel in West Roxbury known as Toucan Road. It's read into the record by the chair and is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Layout Approval Plan, Toucan Road, private way open to public travel, West Roxbury, 1 sheet dated September 11th, 2018.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next item is on a petition by Greater Ashmont Main Street for the making of specific repairs within Dorchester Avenue, Dorchester, located on both sides at its intersection with Ashmont Street and Talbot Avenue, consisting of new and relocated specialty pavement, street trees, street furniture, bike racks, planters, landscaping, and an informational kiosk. This was new business on September 20th, 2018, and this is as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repairs, Peabody Square, Dorchester Avenue, and Ashmont Street. 4 sheets dated July 30th, 2018. Jen?
Good morning, Chief Osgood, members of the Commission. My name is Jen Carte. I'm the Executive Director of Greater Ashmont Main Street, and with me today are Jessica Brown of Crowley Cottrell and Stephanie Mora, one of the members of my Board of Directors who's been my lead partner on this Public Improvement Commission process. I am not clear if I should review the project in the same way we did at the first? A quick overview. Yes, okay. So 10 years ago or so, the Greater Ashmont Main Street and other civic associations worked collaboratively with the city with a $150,000 grant from the Menino administration to realign the intersections here, and that realignment created these 2 public plazas. There were significant improvements made from the BTD streetscape at that time, but some of them show the wear and tear of a decade, and others were not accomplished at that time due to lack of funds, street furniture, signage, things like that. The revitalization campaign that we brought to the community 2 years ago with pro bono design work from COG Design is meant to finish and to improve on that work. The process was at approximately 30% design during the initial community visioning session and reflects all the elements that you see here. Since that time, we have received donated 4-foot concrete planters that you see depicted in the plans. Boston Parks Department had received them from the Downtown Crossing Bid District, and those have been successfully placed and planted and maintained by us. And the Parks Department, under contract with Parterre, fully renovated the existing rain garden, the bioswale project that's on the east side, the East Plaza here. What else is everything else before you? It represents the balance of the revitalization proposal, all of which are more permanent and therefore need the Commission's approval. We raised through a crowdfunding campaign in November and December of last year, $26,430 from individual community donors, 120 or so individual donors, and institutional partners, including Mass Development at $25,000, the Boston Main Street Foundation at $10,000, and significant contributions from developers and the Martin Richard Foundation bring the total raised to support this work to $96,430, some of which will be held available for ongoing maintenance. But in addition to that, we have a mitigation fund from the Caruth building that we use. It's the PB Square Improvement Fund. The amount that's deposited into that fund varies year to year based on the profits from the affordable housing units, but it averages about $8,000. And between that and the Civic Association cleanup commitments and our spring cleanup and such, we anticipate no challenge keeping up our end of the LMI to maintain these improvements and continue the beautification work. Since we last met, the plans have been updated to address the comments from the Mayor's Persons with Disabilities Office. I don't know if we have final. Sarah, do we have final okay on this?
Sarah Leong, Mayor's Commission for Persons with Disabilities. We work with Jessica Brown and her team to work out some of the comments that we have made, and we have no further access comments at this time.
Sorry, those comments have been sort of incorporated into this?
Yes.
Yes, they're fully incorporated at this time. It was, other than spacing of some items, it was the relocation of a trash and recycling bin and the shift of the design of one of the game tables to be depth accessible, which was a dimension we weren't conscious of in the regs. We had dealt with height accessibility, but the only other thing that I wanted to bring to the public hearing, I did have a sit-down review of the plans as they were with Chris Douglas, who's the restaurateur at 555 Ashmont Grill, and he fully supports the proposal. He had one comment that he asked me to bring to you regarding the liquid paper sofa sign, which is not our work, but is depicted in these plans. He asks that whenever that is final, He's concerned about the sight line turning out of the driveway. And since he asked me to bring that up, I have brought that up to you. Because people coming around Talbot Ave, is that going to be blocking their ability? Because people come around that corner quite fast sometimes if they have a green. But otherwise, he defers to the experts on that, but.
We'll connect with SUPA to make sure that they're appropriately cited.
Thank you. I had no other updates since our last meeting. Are there any questions I can address for the commission at this time?
What is your timeline for construction?
We anticipate, we've blocked 4 weeks. We plan to start Tuesday.
So your contractor is who?
It's Paragon Landscape and Construction. We will not be needing street occupancy. To the extent that that changes, they will deal with that permitting.
And how do they propose to do the work without trucks and equipment?
Then I think they're probably assuming that they can be.
They are fencing off the area.
Okay. So
but it's not in the.
it is in the public right of way.
This land still is. So they just need to apply for a permit and have a construction management plan. They can.
We have confirmed that they are bonded.
No. Sorry, let me say it in a slightly different way.
Please.
So, how can I say this? When contractors work in the public right of way, the city has a responsibility to ensure the safety of those who are working there, as much as the displaced pedestrians or the vehicles that might be in that area. So we have a process where the contractors need to come and get permits from the city so that they don't endanger their workers as much as the pedestrians and the vehicles that are going to go through this area.
Okay.
All this work is within the public right of way. That is why you are here in front of the Public Improvement Commission, and your contractor needs to get the necessary permits so as not to put a little awkward moment in this wonderful project.
And happy to do so. My understanding was, I had a misunderstanding that it was about parking spaces.
No.
Okay.
It's use of the public right of way as opposed to the roadbed or parking
Okay.
spaces.
And your bonded contractors know that drill.
Okay.
If they have worked in the area, so just please remind them that they need to come and see the city.
I will make sure. We are targeting a mid-November extensively attended ribbon cutting because there are a lot of parties, including the Amelia Peabody Charitable Fund, which contributed some of the funds. I've neglected to mention them at the start, and I regret that.
So we'll work with you as diligently as possible.
Oh, yes, and I'm not worried about that in terms of, we'll get that done immediately then.
Other questions or comments? From your top? I'll entertain a motion on this.
Make a motion to approve a petition by Greater Ashmont Main Street for the making of specific repairs within Dorchester Avenue, as read into the record by the chair and as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repairs, Peabody Square, Dorchester Avenue, and Ashmont Street, 4 sheets dated July 30th, 2018.
Second. All in favor? Aye. So moved.
Thank you very much.
Our next item is on a petition by DIV Shawmut LLC for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Boston proper, consisting of curb, sidewalk, and pedestrian ramp reconstruction, as well as new and relocated specialty pavements, street trees, irrigation infrastructure, bike racks, and driveway curb cuts. The locations are Shawmut Avenue on its easterly side at address number 112, south of Harold Street, and Harold Street on the southeasterly side, east of Shawmut Avenue. This was new business on September 20th, 2018. And this is as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plan, Shawmut Avenue, Harold Street, 112 Shawmut Avenue, South End, 2 sheets dated September 18th, 2018.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. My name is Rebecca Lee, I'm an attorney with Vince. To my left is Dante Angelucci, the Executive Vice President of the Davis Companies, which is the proponent here, and Rick Martini from Howard Sinus Hudson Associates, the civil engineer for the project. The project has been BPDA approved. It is a residential project of approximately 139 condominiums and 112 underground structured garage spaces. And before you are 2 petitions, one for specific repairs and one for an entrance canopy to this residential building.
Morning, Rick Martini with Howard Sinus Hudson. So, just so you know, it's a proposed 13-story building, and as you can tell, we're saving the 6-story brick face on the street-facing sides. It's about a 7/10 of an acre site, so it has half its building and half its a surface parking lot. So the specific repairs, I'll start with specific repairs for Shawmut Ave, which is the top part of this. The sidewalk's a little bit under 10 feet. So we had mentioned at new business that we were putting in a 30-inch width permeable paver band, and that would leave over about a 6.5-foot wide cement concrete walkway behind that. Within the furnishing zone, there are 4 bike racks and 2 street trees. Along the curb line, there's an 8-foot wide curb cut that we're increasing to 24-foot wide to allow entry to the garage, and a little bit north of that, we're proposing another 14-foot curb cut to allow entry to the loading area. We'll be reconstructing the pedestrian ramp, obviously, at our corner. The one diagonally across from us, we'll be reconstructing. The one to the west of Shawmut is actually been recently constructed by Public Works and is handicap accessible, and I think the last one across in Herald, I think, needs a new detectable warning panel. Since we were last here, there was a pinch point of about 4 foot 2 inches with a traffic controller, and the owner has agreed to move that onto the furnishing zone, so now the minimum pedestrian path of travel will be 6 feet, so there'll be no pinch point there.
Has that been reviewed by Don Bergeson, Signal Engineering?
No, we'll have to review that with you. We just figured that
It could get very extensive with the fiber and the twisted pair.
So the comment to them has been to look into the relocate, because right now it's sitting at the back, and with the furnishing zone now, it's just kind of in the middle of the cement concrete. So we've only asked them to investigate it with you, and whatever BTD says is what's going to be. We just asked them to.
Just putting it out there, because that's a successful location for a lot of our backbone for interconnect for that area with the fiber and twisted pair. Very busy little blocks.
There may not be enough slack in the controller cabinet to move it an inch. So
Yeah, we wanted to know, basically, are we backing it up the line or are we extending it?
but it needs to be done, so it may not be that simple based on the amount of slack that is there in the wires that go into the cabinet. You know that,
Yeah, okay,
right?
well, yep. I don't know if anyone has questions on the Shawmut Street specific repairs for him. We'll move on to Harold Street.
Others? Amir, Todd?
Okay, for Harold Street, if you remember, that sidewalk was a little bit under 8 feet, so we were using a permeable paver width of about 24 inches, so we could keep an over a 5-foot wide pedestrian path of travel. Also, there's 2 curb cuts there, a 20 and a 23 foot, that we were consolidating to a 24 foot to access the garage. And the reason why we have 2 garage entries is they actually don't, the 2 garage levels don't actually intermingle with each other because of some elevation differences out there. Since we were here, and this just happened a couple days ago, was South End Landmarks asked us to add street trees on Harold Street. And we can actually do that because there's a little indents, if you will, in the building face where we can fit the trees and still get 5-foot wide sidewalks.
Property.
Yeah, so
It'll be on public property.
They're essentially vertical,
Okay, so you need
pilasters in the building,
so,
so he's
well,
basically.
So you will update the plans.
We need to, what needs to happen is that in order to provide the 5 feet of clear sidewalk access, we will grant a pedestrian easement to the city to provide that space. Because this issue came up Tuesday evening at the South End Landmark District Commission, and we were literally investigating the engineering feasibility yesterday, we're not before you today for the pedestrian easement, but we understand that any approval that came today would be subject to us, and we literally are working on the easement plan now and expect to be before you within the month, if not weeks, at the next meeting, with a petition to grant you the pedestrian easement to make these trees possible.
So those 3 easements would allow those 3 trees to be
Yeah, it'll
put
be
in place?
one continuous easement for the 3 trees.
and those easements are like 8 square feet. They're like 8 inches wide, so.
Yeah, they're tiny.
From Shawmut all the way to Albany, to the interstate, okay? Will these be the only 3 streets on Harold?
Yes, no street trees were constructed at any
I know,
block.
well, there's a reason why, because it is the most amount of carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and highly traveled, and all of that good stuff. So which requires some effort on your part to keep these babies alive, otherwise it's going to go.
Well,
so just give it some thought.
We have Copley Wolf pondering the question, because that was
You have the
exactly
best of
my
the
reaction
best.
since I live across the
Right.
street, like, what's gonna live over there?
So find a species that can.
It will be an ongoing maintenance obligation. We understand that easily. And our condo owners will understand that.
We're looking at steel trees right now.
A public art installation of trees.
From Public Health Commission's perspective, when you think about all the carbon dioxide or whatever the heck that comes out of cars, trees are the right antidote, but investment is needed by all parties to be serious about keeping it alive, and that's all that I'm trying to point out here.
And we will do that.
Thank you, Ms. Lee.
So, any question on Terrell Street?
Do we think that would be any other changes to the specific repair plan that, based upon whatever we think?
So
Okay.
when they come back with the pet easement, they'll
Yep.
come and show us the
The
updated
updated version of this.
repair with the trees
Perfect.
on it, and then.
And any other alterations that be necessary.
Then we will report it in the appropriate order.
Perfect. Conservative.
That's it for us, yep.
Other questions or comments? Amy or Todd? Members of the public? All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item again, contingent upon the pedestrian easements and any final alterations to the specific repair plan.
Make a motion to approve the petition by DIV Shawmut LLC for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Boston proper, consisting of curb, sidewalk, pedestrian ramp, reconstruction, as well as new and relocated specialty pavement, street trees, irrigation infrastructure, bike racks, and driveway curb cuts. All is read into the record by the chair and as shown on the set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repair Plan, Shawmut Avenue, Harold Street, 112 Shawmut Avenue South, and 2 sheets dated September 18th, 2018.
All in favor? Aye. So moved. Our next item is on a petition by DIV Shawmut LLC for the granting of a projection license for the installation of a canopy over a portion of the sidewalk within Shawmut Avenue, Boston proper, located on its easterly side at number 112, south of Harold Street. This was new business on September 20th, 2018. And this is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Canopy License Plan, 112 Shawmut Avenue, South End, one sheet dated September 14th, 2018.
Good morning, Rick Latini, Howard Stein Hudson. This is a slender steel and glass canopy at the main entry, which you can just see at the corner of this plan. You'll see like a little rectangle on the top. That's going to be a backlit letter or like this, the property address on the top. This thing has over 10 feet clear above the sidewalk. It only extends about 3.5 feet into the public way that I said before is 10 foot wide. It'll be internally drained and heat traced as usual. And I think the total square footage for the license is about 58.5 square feet.
Questions or comments on this?
I'm just a math geek. Your 3.5 plus 6.4 doesn't add up to 10, so one of those are wrong.
I round up on these things. No, the actual plans will be exact, but my speech is rounded up for the sake of argument.
Shown on your plans as a 3.5 and a 6.4. Those two adds up to 9.9. I'm wasting too much time. Just make sure that the math adds up to 10.
I'll get to the thousands. All right.
I count numbers.
We're not architects up here.
Hey, we ain't.
Okay. And we do numbers.
No mathematicians down here.
It's an occupational hazard.
Other.
Don't waste time. I'm just adjust the numbers before you bring the Mylars to Amy.
It's probably not even on both sides, so you know.
Other questions or comments? Amy or Todd? Members of the public? All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
Make a motion on a petition by DIV Shawmut LLC for the granting of a projection license for the installation of a canopy over a portion of the sidewalk within Shawmut Avenue, as read into the record by the chair and is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division, Canopy License Plan, 112 Shawmut Avenue, South End, one sheet dated September 14th, 2018.
All in favor? Aye. So moved.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Moving on to new business, our first item is 855 Boylston Street in Boston proper, specific repairs on a petition by TA Realty. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Chelsea. I'm Chelsea Christensen from Niche Engineering. With me today is Denise
Ferrandici from Dyer Brown, the architect, and Jason Walenga from CBRA on behalf of TA Realty. We are here today for 855 Boylston Street paver replacement. The project has been designed to match the BBAC plan for Boylston Street, which is the look of the new Boston Public Library streetscape. So we are currently showing a 4-foot porous paver strip along the edge. The existing trees are in good health and are indicated to remain.
Chelsea, can you give me a moment? So within the alphabet soup of Boylston Streets, no, that didn't come out correctly. Between which two streets is this block? Between D and E or E and F or F and G? Fairfield and Gloucester? Okay, so you need to know that. I'll tell you why, Chelsea, because we have built Dartmouth to Exeter. D to E, Exeter, and we are going to start Exeter to Fairfield.
Okay.
And this better be from Fairfield to Gloucester, and we just need to synchronize your plans with what we think, because you are not on the library side, are you on the opposite side?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's where we will be coming. There you go.
It's right across from the Prudential Center Plaza.
Brilliant. So thank you for taking a head start in what we want to do. We truly appreciate what you are doing, and we will be so, what's the word? We'll work with you to make sure that you get this thing done as seamlessly as possible. And thank you for doing this.
One note associated with that, and then we'll have you start again. The specifics, and I could be wrong about this, that we use at the BPL are slightly different than what's being used in the EDAP.
Yes, we've been working with the most recently
Chelsea, the best person,
installed detail.
The city's chief design engineer, Zach Bosmuth, who I know you know him well. Check with Mr. Bosmuth. He will give you the design standards for this block. Don't copy the exact thing in front of the library.
No, we do have the standards, and we've been working with them.
For Boylston Street. So Zach Bosmuth, if he says yay, we are on.
Yep.
Thank you. Sorry. You can give us back sort of the project overview and the work you're planning.
Yes. Okay. So, the existing trees are to remain. There's the concrete sidewalk section is 8 feet from the tree pit to the privacy strip, and 11 feet from the porous pavers to the privacy strip. We've also been asked to install a few extra bike racks, and so there's one existing bike rack and that'll be reset, and 2 additional ones that'll be reset in between the trees. We've been working with MAAB on the paver strip because in order to get this whole area ADA compliant, we're proposing to slope within this area, but we were asked to see if we needed a variance. So we have submitted to MAAB, and we have scheduling a meeting with them hopefully next week to sort through those details of whether a variance is needed for this, or who should own the variance, and those details. But we're working through that right now. We're also still working with Parks Department for the tree preservation. There were a lot of questions about the health of them, but the tree warden did check them out and said they were in good health, and so they should stay. But we did not really have a lot of detail on their protection. So we've now brought on a landscape architect to address that in more detail. And we'll be working with Liza Meyer over the next few weeks to get that sorted out.
When do you plan on doing this work? When might that be, roughly?
Marathon Tuesday.
Yeah. After the okay. Which gives you a little bit more time to do the following. Chelsea, please make sure that you do a field walk. So I'm asking very specifically with Mr. Bosmuth to make sure that what you propose within this mid area of that whole street doesn't make it difficult for us to do the 2 sides. It needs to transition. That includes also the alignment of the trees, because we are having some challenges with the other blocks where we have to reposition trees. So it would be really problematic when we come to do this block if your stuff is not lining up with the rest. So what is needed, Amy, and please translate this stuff back to Zach. We want to pretend as if we are doing your block, and hopefully your design is compatible with what we would do, and you do it.
Yeah, just get us an okay from Zach.
From Zach.
prior
Okay.
to the public hearing.
So
It also seems like there's consistent datum lines or consistent
exactly.
lines.
Okay, so that way
If the
my
intent
little
from one should,
yeah.
instead of having,
Because when Chelsea said that you need a variance, now suddenly I'm a little bit concerned where I need to have a continuous sidewalk and I don't want to have a little lip by the time we come to you. So Chelsea, that's what's needed. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
So just on the transportation side of the house, obviously I believe there's pay stations that are in this area for the parking. Just make sure they're identified. Obviously, when you start construction, your contractor's going to need to pull a permit and have them removed while you do that. Construction management plan is going to be very important. How we're going to basically do construction methodology, maintaining some use of pedestrian, or a lot of use of pedestrian flow on that street. It's so busy. So just, Chelsea, you want to look at that as far as where the existing signage and pay stations, et cetera. Make
Yes.
sure it's accounted for in the documents.
Okay.
Other questions or comments? Amy or Todd? Members of the public? All right, is 2 weeks enough time to get this all?
We would like to request 4 weeks to have some time.
So,
You can.
we'll see you on November 1st then.
Great, thank you.
Until then, thank you so much. Our next item is 480-482 West Broadway, Dorchester Street, South Boston, vertical discontinuances, specific repairs on a set of joint petitions by Mr. Frankie Sorrenti and Ms. Gail P. Sorrenti.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Jay Carroll with Howard Stein Hudson, and with me, you go ahead.
Doug Stefanoff, architect.
So we're representing Frank Sorrenti. I apologize for his absence today. He contacted me yesterday. He had a slip and fall and severely twisted his ankle, so he's had to stay off it for a week, is what I'm told. But we'll make sure we can get him here for the public hearing. So we're here today for 480, 482 West Broadway. This is going to be a 5-story mixed-use building. 18 residential units are proposed with 4,200 square foot ground floor retail commercial space and 21 below-grade parking spaces with access off of Dorchester Street. So we're at the intersection of West Broadway and Dorchester Street in South Boston. So we are...
A very lot of action at that location.
Mhm.
So I'm sure Commissioner Hesford may have some concerns about you building this stuff without messing up all traffic in the area.
Okay.
Okay. But in your drawings, what I do not see in your specific repair plan is what traffic control device controls the intersection of Dorchester at its intersection with West Broadway and East Broadway. What do we have there? A stoplight, a 4-way stop? What do we have there?
Lots of signals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that information, sir, needs to show up on the specific repair plan unless it's shown and I'm blind. Okay? So let's assume that I'm blind and that's a better position for us to take right now.
Okay.
But my thought pattern is when you think about the pedestrian circulation, all of that good stuff, you show it clearly as to how it interacts with the stoplight.
Okay.
Including the height of bar stops, where they are, how it interfaces with your windows and everything.
Mhm.
Okay. That's what's needed so that we can make an assessment of the vertical traffic control devices as it relates to that window on the 2nd floor or 3rd floor or wherever.
Okay.
Sorry.
So this is a new building.
Yes.
Large project, small project?
It was a small project. That's why there was no TAPA or anything.
So, any discussion relative to the garage access and egress from onto Dorchester Street from the transportation department?
There has not been, no.
There's not been.
No.
That's a concern, simply because of traffic operating. Very, very busy intersection. So that needs to be discussed.
Okay.
Understanding the building looks like it's already designed, but that can't move forward until the transportation department's seen it.
Yep.
You're gonna approve it.
It's an existing curb cut there that's being.
Doesn't matter. You're building a new use.
Brand new, okay? So yesterday it may have been a
What's the existing parking coming out of that curb cut?
It's a small parking lot.
What's going in? What's
20.
how many vehicles?
21 spaces, yeah.
Yeah, it's different.
Plus, when I see that drawing, it seems like there seems to be some awning or some structure facing me.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully I'm not
Yep,
blind to that.
that's correct.
Okay, so again, the fact that you are not showing the vertical elevations and how it interfaces properly with the traffic signals and everything over there.
Okay.
Is that overhang completely on private property at all?
No, that's part of the discontinuance.
Yeah.
Do you want us to walk us through just the three proposed vertical discontinuances, or the vertical discontinuances, and then we can talk about the repair plan?
Yeah, so in addition to the specific repair, there's the discontinuance petition. We've got basically three elements going on. There's a building cornice. There's one about mid-height of the building, and then on the rooftop cornice that wraps around the whole building.
Which at the top up here, okay.
And then there was another one.
Oh, the marquee.
Yep.
Yeah.
That marquee.
Entrance.
And
then the corner.
And then at the corner, we've got a building overhang that's actually the entire floors above will be overhanging the property.
How are you managing that? Are you discontinuing that, or are you coming?
Yes, we're discontinuing that.
Why not I give up the whole street? Okay, please continue. We'll get to the thought patterns.
So, and then we also, so that middle piece is being discontinued. That comes out past the property line about 7 feet at that,
At the most.
at the midpoint of that arc.
From 0 to 7, back down to 0.
And then you got it about 7.5 feet to the curb line there.
And you are discontinuing
But-
from ground, from
From-
road surface to
No, from
Second floor deck.
From second floor up.
So later onwards, will you come back to us with balconies coming off since you have acquired all that space?
The balconies? Or
Right now, you have this little awning thing coming out, right?
it's hard to see in this rendering, but this whole.
Oh,
this
that
is
whole
all-
thing is sticking out?
The whole thing is sticking out.
So has BBDA's urban design gone and
Yes,
evaluated?
this is what they approved prior to my coming on board with the project, and I was directed I couldn't change it as this was the approved project by BPDA.
So this is like one giant bay window?
Yeah, yes. It's substantial.
We really now need to see where the traffic signals are and all those vertical elements, including the street lights and everything that is vertical in that area, including telecommunication poles. I know this is an underground district, but that doesn't stop others from sticking things up there. That's very highly unusual for BPDA to do that, and I
Before my time, but yet.
don't know what to say, sir.
I asked to take it off, actually.
Sorry?
I asked to take it off because I'd rather not.
No. It may be. No, I think you're in an awkward spot as a professional architect. It may.
It was a previous architect.
Right, I know so, but when you are doing it, you may find it, because I see that we don't see that type of a design, not lately. Because we have a better filtering system upstairs to catch stuff of that nature.
It seems like on this repair plan that there's actually fairly little distance between the edge of the sort of the nose of the canopy and one of the existing mast arms. Does that mean it seems maybe 2 or 3 feet off from?
It's probably about right, yeah.
Yeah. So I think I think for the public hearing to be able to come back and actually be able to understand how each of the mast arms and streetlights that are on this street actually interact with the grade. So there's the discontinuance on Dorchester, there's the requested discontinuance on West Broadway, and then there's the more significant discontinuance at the intersection. Those are the three.
Right. Yep.
All right, and can you walk us through the specific repair plan?
Sure. Just one more thing. So for that relationship with the lights and the building overhang, do you want me to go through, get
Can you
BTD?
coordinate that with
Coord-
Don Burgess?
With Don Burgess, okay.
Yeah, we'll submit those plans to us and we'll go back to the BPDA.
And as much coordination is needed from the city, you as the engineers supporting the petitioner needs to take, trying to find my words correctly, do what needs to be done from your side, which minimizes our comments. Okay?
Okay.
And in the same vein, with the, when you're checking with Don on the signalization, and you need to coordinate with him on that proposed garage access egress into the intersection, and how that potentially could impact signal operations. So we want something back from him saying that it will not impact operations.
And from the architects, sir, right now you are showing me a flat head, a perspective that truly needs to highlight and amplify how much you are coming in, because I didn't catch it.
Yeah, no,
And
it's-
it isn't properly conveyed from the two other sides. So we like to understand how that all plays out. Okay?
Yeah, I have a couple ideas, yes.
So could you please help us to understand before you take it too far?
Related to that, related to the prepare plan, and I apologize if Commissioner Hessford mentioned this, but with those 21 spaces, you're also doing commercial loading for the ground floor retail out of the parking garage, or how do you plan on doing commercial loading?
Not from the garage.
Okay, so you're on the street side.
On the street side.
Okay.
I mean, it's not designed for a restaurant, it's just retail space.
Yep.
It's not, there's no plan for it.
And obviously on Broadway, there's no parking, maybe on Dorchester Street, but
No, there's none.
none, right? So we're
Well, the opposite side. Opposite side of Dorchester.
Our fear is, let's assume a Dunkin' comes up there, okay? So they are notorious for doing their own thing, and they don't care how many tickets we...
That's what it is today.
Oh,
It's a great example.
oh, why did I think that? Please be sensitive to those thought patterns.
Which is a disaster.
Correct,
Okay.
a very big problem.
Problem, because it's just a location. I mean, you got East, West Broadway's hitting Dorchester, and
I think that is part of, and however Commissioner Hester wants to handle it, I think that's part of the BTD conversation. How do you imagine handling commercial loading? Similar to how do you imagine cars turning, particularly if they're coming from West Broadway or onto Dorchester Street, turning left across traffic. Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm pretty familiar.
This is a Article 80 small product. We need, with something at this location like this, BTD needs to be involved in that process. So I would recommend that you get a hold of Pat Hoey, who's the South Boston
We have been working with BPDA on...
Not BPDA, BTD.
BTD.
yeah, the transportation department,
Right.
because the
Sorry.
stuff which you are in front of this commission
Yep.
is the stuff that is impacting the public right of way. BPDA,
They're not traffic people.
No.
they're good people. We just need to.
Sometimes they think that, but they're...
Thank you.
Construction management plan, where are we in that process? This is gonna be a good one.
Yeah. I don't have an answer for you on that.
Do you have a contract yet?
Yes, the owner is self-performing.
Self-performing.
But it's, the sales contingent upon permitting, so the building still belongs to Frank Sorrentini, who owns the land. And upon permitting, it will transfer to Joe Taylor of Andytown Development. So he's not yet the owner, but he's been...
You may want to have a little bit of time to check. I'm not sure whether 2 weeks will be enough. I'm just trying to think through all the stuff that needs to
We're also
be.
still missing an appraisal.
It's in the works.
Okay, so please consider adequate amount of time to have this project properly reviewed with the transportation department because of the criticality of the intersection. There's a strong desire for us not to perpetuate madness and create even a worse situation during construction.
I want to see a construction management plan in process prior to what's taking a vote.
Okay.
So
Community meetings, community process.
Well, that's all been done beforehand.
it would be good just for someone from the South Boston neighborhood to connect with EIC staff for us to know what those thought patterns.
Okay, John Allison.
So give it, yeah, we just want a record of what the community process that you've gone through, what that entailed. And we'll also need something that the petitioners are the current owners, but you represent the buyers. We need to have something that kind of formally represents what's happening.
Jay, you want to walk us through this repair plan?
Sure. For specific repairs, we're calling to do sidewalk reconstruction around the whole perimeter of the building, starting on West Broadway. That's an existing tree to the left. I'm just showing it as a matured tree. And then we're proposing 2 additional trees with a comment from Mike Nelson was actually to add some pervious paving, and I coordinated that with Jill Zick, so we added a pervious paving strip in there. Reconstructing the pedestrian ramps, adding yellow tactile to all the ramps within the intersection, adding 2 bike racks, and relocating, there's an existing sign for the, that's like a memorial square. And then, in addition, modifying the driveway on the Dorchester Street side.
Questions or comments on the specific repair plan? All right, so there's a couple things I think that need to get done between now and the public hearing. Obviously, progress on the CMP, some other visualizations of this space in general, some conversation with BTD about loading. Do you think you can get that done in 2 weeks or 4 weeks? What is?
4 weeks.
All right, so November 1st. So you guys know November 1st. Okay. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you
very much. Our final item of new business is 20 Reverend Richard A. Burke Street, East 9th Street, Patterson Way in South Boston. Pedestrian easement specific repairs on a set of joint petitions by Old Colony Phase 3 A4 Limited Partnership, Old Colony Phase 3 A9 Limited Partnership, and the Boston Housing Authority.
It's like Groundhog Day. We're on to the 4th time that we're building this. I'm Darcy Jamison with Beacon Communities Development, working in partnership on Old Colony with the Boston Housing Authority. I'm joined here with Dean Papademetrio, John Schmidt, our civil engineer, and Angela, state architect. So I want to just thank everybody for working with us so collaboratively on Old Colony. We've been at this for about 8 years with the authority, 9 years, and still making our way through the master plan and being vetted through this all along the way. In the earlier phases, as I think folks know, we had our stimulus money and Hope 6 money, which was amazing. Those resources have dried up, so we've taken a little bit of a break while we have been trying to figure out how to reassemble resources in collaboration with the authority to move forward with the next phase, which is Phase 3. Specifically, we're here today about Old Colony Phase 3A. It's many years later, many costs have gone up, resources are more scarce. So we really appreciated up to this point that everybody's been working really collaboratively with us on sort of scope and how do we maintain the character of the community, but be mindful of some of the resources. Just in terms of schedule, since it's always a question, the Housing Authority is actively finishing relocation over the next sort of 6 weeks or so. Demolition will start in January with construction closing in April. That is being driven by DHCD requirements, cities push that we can get moving with the they've made, also HUD through the RAD program. We've got some real commitments. So our goal is that we finish up permitting this month, since we're aiming to have submissions into HUD showing that all of our permitting is done, and then as we roll into our financial closings, get ready for demolition. Any other questions? Glad to answer.
That's great.
Good morning, John Schmidt with Niche Engineering. So we're here for Phase 3A. This is all of Phase 3, but the work that we're here before is this area here, just north of my hand. And there's 3 streets involved. There's Patterson Way, there's East 9th Street, and then there's Reverend Richard Burke. We are maintaining the existing curb lines. We are essentially replacing the curb, resetting the curb, replacing it where needed. constructing new sidewalks, planting new street trees where there's adequate space for that. On East Burke.
Excuse me, sorry, John. You said you are replacing sidewalks where needed?
No, we're replacing all the sidewalks. We're reusing the curb. We'll add new curb where needed.
Got it.
This is a rendering of the building itself, 4-story multifamily. On Patterson Way, from Reverend Burke to East 8th Street, we will be removing and replacing the sidewalk, resetting the curb, and installing new public street lights. We're carrying the same street light fixture that we used in phase 1 and 2, so there's continuity between the phases. We are maintaining the existing 5-foot wide sidewalk width here, and there's been discussions about trying to make that wider. But we're really prohibited from doing that because we have a series of well-established trees that run along the property line that vary anywhere from 36 to 48 inches. And in the earlier phases in phase 2 of this project on Patterson, what we did is we worked hard to protect and maintain those trees, and we're committed to do the same in this phase. We are installing new accessible wheelchair ramps, so it will be a safe and accessible pathway. On Reverend Burke, we're rebuilding the sidewalk, resetting the curb. There were street lights that were installed as part of phase 2, so we're going to protect and maintain those street lights because they're the new ones that we want to use. We are planting new street trees, and we're also proposing a pedestrian easement there, so we have at minimally an 8-foot wide sidewalk, areas with 3-foot tree pits. On East 9th Street, we're doing the complete sidewalks on both sides, resetting the curb, maintaining the curb lines. We're widening the sidewalks 8 feet wide, asking for pedestrian easement, installing street trees, and installing new street lights. And that's about the gist of it. Oh, I'm sorry. The TAP has been in review with Pat Hoey. The construction management plan has been, I believe Ed has reviewed that. We're going to finalize that when the general contractor comes on board. Ed had asked for a striping and signage plan, which I sent you this morning. I apologize for the delay in that. And then, do you have any comments yet? And then we are working with Bruce Sylvan, who is working with the LMI with Chung's office.
Just for the record, the relationship between BHA and the petitioner is it a 99 ground year lease? Rather than me saying anything, if you could finish that sentence for me.
Captain Demetrio, counsel for the Boston Housing Authority. So the ownership is, we will have similar ownership structure to phases 1, 2A, 2B, and 2C. There will be a 99-year ground lease. In the earlier phases, it's with the instrumentality of the BHA, so it's Old Colony Revitalization Corporation that is a fully controlled affiliate of the BHA. In this case, we're most likely going to follow the same pathway, although it's possible that it might be directly with the BHA.
So all the construction of the roadways are going to be advertised and awarded by which entity?
So all of the improvements, buildings and the off-site improvements are included in the plans and specifications that we are currently bidding right now.
Great, so all the construction within the public right-of-way will be done by you, including the internal streets. Are you going to be redoing the internal streets? Here's my concern. I know money is getting tight, okay? So I don't know where things might be. I can't use the word cutting corners because we don't do that. But when we are trying to find efficiency, trying to get the program put out, are we not building the streets? Are we just doing the sidewalks? Are we going to have a disparity between phase 1 and phase 3? Could you highlight those thought patterns?
On East 9th Street, our intent there is to co-plan and overlay. I believe we're carrying budget money for that. On the other two streets where we're abutting other phases, We won't do that work until those phases come
so
along.
it will be logical.
Yeah.
So the one which you are going to cold claim and invest on, please work with, to the extent they can, and I'm not sure how to do this thing, with utility companies, with it is telecom companies,
Sure.
okay? Let them know that you are planning on doing this, because it is you who is doing the work. I'm not sure how the notification process takes.
Right, or antennas.
Okay, so any charming person who wants to come and dig up your investment,
Sure.
You need to protect that. Okay.
Do we run that in the Cobus notification system, or?
Yeah, so like it'll go into Cobus, but then they're just, like, we're just
Looking
then
to-
cutting into a guaranteed
Yeah.
street versus being proactive.
Okay.
But so like, the notification if it went out.
But we will do the notification, okay.
Yeah.
Right, and then, as you well know, obviously there's a whole host of sort of new telecommunications infrastructure that's being put in place, so to the extent that we can be mindful of that, so that we're actually preparing for prior to be run.
We went through the notification process as we typically do for this process. We have registered with Cobex, but I understand your concern.
Maybe the notch higher saying, hey, these are
Right,
streets
so-
that private sector is investing.
What I think you're suggesting is that we do another notification with a construction schedule to them, so then they are really documented and they have an opportunity to do what they have to do.
Exactly.
Okay.
We give them the windows, we're just not
Yeah.
digging into what you're actually building.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Anything else that you want to cover?
The easements which you are granting to the city, the width of the easement that results in a wider sidewalk has been blessed by the Commission for Disabilities.
Yes, we've met with Sarah's office and they're on board.
Great. Other questions or comments? Amy or Todd?
Okay.
All right. Members of the public are not at this point. All right, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Does that work? All right,
Thank you
see
very
on
much.
October 18th.
Thanks.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.